The abysmal job market numbers dropped today, and it is a bunch of red, red, red. The economy is not looking great, and it's looking like this going into back to school season and holidays, on top of all of the tariff hokey that we have been seeing. It is a mess, and we've already talked about this before, and I'll say it again. The way Doge came in and was firing people, and how many people got job cuts, but they had severance packages that don't kick in right away. It was kind of hiding the fact that the jobs losses were a lot worse than they were talking about. But now is all starting to become clearer. And as we proceed into the fall and winter, the jobs numbers are going to get worse. When politicians argue over tariffs and trade wars, it's the working families that end up paying the price. It's women with children that end up paying the price. And we're going to talk about the real numbers and what's going on. Before I get to the news and the numbers, let's look at this mantra from Donald Trump on his live social page. He says, I was just informed that our country's job numbers, and he puts that in quotes, are being produced by a Biden appointee, Dr. Erica McIntyre, the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, who faked the jobs numbers before the election to try to boost Kamala's chances of victory. This is the same Bureau of Labor Statistics that overstated the jobs growth in March of 2024 by approximately 818,000, and then again right before the 2024 presidential election in August and September by 112,000. These were records. No one can be that wrong. We need accurate jobs numbers. And he just randomly just capitalizes the stupidest things. I have directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified. Important numbers like this must be fair and accurate. They can't be manipulated for political purposes. McIntyre said there were only 73,000 jobs added, a shock. But more importantly, that a major mistake was made by them, 258,000 jobs downward in the prior 2 months. Similar things happened in the first part of the year, always to the negative. The economy is booming under Trump, and he puts Trump in quotes, despite a Fed that also plays games. This time with the interest rates, where they lowered them twice and substantially just before the presidential election. I assumed in the hopes of getting Kamala, and he puts Kamala in quotes, elected. How did that work out, Jerome Too Late Powell? Should also be put out to pasture. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I like what Ron Filipkowski said of the hysterics of Donald Trump. He says, this is real Soviet or North Korean style stuff. After the dismal jobs report, Trump is going to fire people who compiled the data and replace them with hacks. The markets and the American people will never be able to trust these numbers again. And the thing is, Trump and his administration and whoever he brings in as lackeys, they can try to put out data, their own data. They can try that, but it's not going to make the actual economy look or feel any different for the people that are going to the grocery store. I went to the grocery store today. I paid $10 for a bag of apples. When I scanned that, my eyes just kind of bugged out. You're not going to be able to hide the fact that tariffs are increasing the cost of everything, that the lack of labor is increasing the cost of everything, that supply and demand is impacting people's pocketbooks. You're not going to be able to hide these numbers forever. Doge and Elon Musk came in and fired a bunch of people. Like I said before, those people did have some severance packages, so some of those firings would have been hidden. So we had the firings. We had Doge do all of the cuts, the grants, the projects that got defunded. Then we have Trump and his tariff hokey. You put the tariffs on, you take the tariffs off, you put the tariffs on, and now look at this dumpster fire we have of an economy, and now you want to fire even more people, and it's going to make the jobs numbers even weaker, and everything is going to be in red, and everything is going up in flames. That's what it's all about. Tariff hokey. And then on top of that, we have trade wars, we have actual wars. It's just a whole mess, a whole cluster F of major proportions. And I'm just going to say, my network is majority women. Women are going to be impacted the most because women are typically the ones that do the most as far as spending for the family and are the typical caretakers. Black women have been impacted as far as the firings and layoffs the most so far. So this firing of this woman, and I believe this is a white woman, but firing of this woman is right in alignment. Let's just make this woman take the blame. Anyways, it says Trump fires commissioner of labor statistics after weaker than expected jobs figures slams markets. All right, it says Trump fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner hours after the agency reported that job growth in the U.S. has slowed to a near halt. And he fired her via social media. People cannot tell me that this is normal behavior. This is not normal times. It says in a Truth Social post that also directed even more fire at Fed Chair Jerome Powell, Trump accused BLS Commissioner Erica McIntyre of being a political appointee who was manipulating jobs data. Here's his live social post about Jerome Powell saying, too little, too late. Jerome, too late. Powell is a disaster. Drop the rate. The good news is that tariffs are bringing in billions of dollars into the USA and is bringing in billions of dollars into the USA because the money was already in the USA because it's American businesses and people that are paying the cost of these tariffs. So on top of all of the goods going up, we have less money. And then on top of that, because of these job numbers, less people have a job. So more people are just going to be holding on to their money. Now let's talk about the jobs numbers and what's being reported. And obviously, this is being reported on multiple outlets in multiple articles, but this is from NPR. The job market is showing signs of weakness as Trump's tariffs take effect. The job market weakened sharply during the late spring and early summer as Trump's tariffs began to take effect. U.S. employers added just 73,000 jobs in July, according to a report Friday from the Labor Department, while job gains for May and June were largely erased. The unemployment rate inched up to 4.2%. And as bad as the job numbers are, I do not believe that this unemployment rate is accurate. But I highly doubt with the administration that we have currently that we're going to get accurate unemployment numbers. It says healthcare was one of the few sectors with solid job growth last month. The federal government shed 12,000 jobs in July and has lost some 84,000 workers since the beginning of the year. Tens of thousands of additional federal workers have taken buyouts, but are still counted as employed through the end of September. And I've already said that these numbers are hiding the actual picture of what's going on because these people are still getting paid until September. But are those people going to spend money or are they going to hold on to it as much as possible since they know that they're not working right now? Tariff uncertainty hits manufacturing. Factories shed 11,000 jobs in July. Domestic manufacturers are supposed to be the beneficiaries of the president's trade policies, but factory managers complained that uncertainty over import taxes has depressed orders and other activity. The federal government has been charging a 10% tax on nearly everything in the U.S. imports since April, and higher tariffs are set to take effect on many goods next week. These tariff wars are beginning to wear us out, one anonymous factory manager said in a survey released Friday by the Institute for Supply Management. There is zero clarity about the future, and it's been a difficult few months trying to figure out where everything is going to land and the impact on our business. So far, tremendous and unexpected costs have been incurred. The unemployment rate rose in July, even as nearly 40,000 people dropped out of the workforce. The share of adults who are working or looking for work has fallen by 0.5% last year. And that's the reason why I said that the unemployment numbers are probably worse, because this means 40,000 people are saying they have given up on trying to find a job. So they're not counted in the unemployment numbers. The share of immigrants in the workforce has fallen even more sharply, which could be making it harder for employers to fill the jobs they'd like to. I think it's mostly a labor supply story, says Jed Kolko, a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics. When you look sector by sector, the big slowdown in employment this year is in, first of all, federal government employment, of course, but also in some sectors that are particularly reliant on immigrants, such as construction, home health aides, and accommodation and hospitality. Really sit with that. Construction. Think about all of the construction that you see on houses, rebuilding houses after these storms, rebuilding roads after these storms. Home health aides are being fired, or they're being deported or running away simply because of the threat of mass deportations. How is that going to impact somebody who is sick, especially at the same time that they are doing away with Medicaid or just kicking people off of Medicaid? How is that going to impact people as rural hospitals close? People voted for this, and what the MAGA administration is doing is so cruel. Our country, this is just cruel. Talking about accommodation and hospitality, obviously that's going to be impacted. But if people don't have the money to, visit places, just this is going to have an impact on tourist cities. I live in Vegas. I've already been talking about how Vegas is being hit, but Vegas is also being hit simply because of their business decisions. And I keep seeing these articles, and I might do another article, but other cities and states that rely on hospitality, they're going to be hit because people are going to keep holding on to money. And I know I'm belaboring the points here, but the whole point is these jobs are impacted first of all, but there are going to be second and third tier jobs that are going to be impacted. Like when you think about tourism, it's not just the people that are in the hotels that are being impacted, it's everybody that supports them, doing the food, the restaurants outside of the hotels, the concierges, the rental car companies. There are so many businesses that are about to be impacted by all of this. The weakness in the job market is likely to amplify calls for the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. The central bank held rates steady earlier this week out of concern that rising tariffs would put more upward pressure on prices. Despite the slowdown in hiring, wages continue to climb. Average wages in July were up 3.9% from a year ago, which is likely more than enough to outpace inflation. This last part, I give a side eye to. We've already said that over 40,000 people have just fallen out, have just given up. And you go to the grocery store, I go to the grocery store, I buy food. Stuff is way more expensive. They're saying that wages are likely to keep up, but maybe that's wages for the people that still have jobs. But those people are going to be supporting more mouths to feed because of all of the people that are out of jobs. At the same time, we're cutting social safety nets. At the same time, we're cutting SNAP and free lunches and grants and all of that. None of this is going to keep up with inflation. The economy is on fire. I had to shift to my daughter's room. Policy decisions now, like tariffs, interest rates, these trade wars, the fact that there's so much uncertainty, is going to directly impact everybody's household budget, job security, and the social safety nets. We barely have any social safety nets as it is because of MAGA Republicans stripping things away. But it's going to be even bigger than that. These tariffs are going to put more pressure on small businesses. Some businesses can absorb those costs, but what about smaller businesses? And there are lots of women in minority communities that own businesses that are going to be hit hardest. And typically the women, the minorities, they're also the ones that are being hit hardest with these layoffs, these freezes, and all of that. Small businesses are going to be vulnerable. And if small businesses are vulnerable, they hire people. So those jobs are going to be vulnerable as well. I just see all of the things that are coming together at once for the perfect storm of why our economy is on fire. And it does not look good in how this is going to play out. And we're only 6 months into this man's term. What's it going to look like come the holidays? Go ahead and chime in with your predictions if you made it this far.